The spaceship glided silently through the endless blackness of space. Stars stretched like diamonds across the dark canvas, and distant planets shone faintly in the background. Among the fleet of explorers, the human crew of the Endeavour watched with quiet determination. Their destination, Zythera, a planet few had ever seen, shrouded in myths and ancient legends. The alien fleets had reached the planet first. Towering ships of strange shapes and colors orbited Zythera, their crews eager to explore. These aliens were known across the galaxy for their strength and skill. Warriors with 4 arms, scholars with glowing eyes, and explorers with limbs that could stretch for meters. All of them believed they were the universe's most capable beings. Yet, the planet held a challenge that had defeated them all. On the surface of Zythera, a giant stone pedestal rose from the red-brown soil. Embedded in it was the ancient sword, an artifact older than any records could remember. Its hilt shimmered with a faint blue glow, and mysterious inscriptions ran along its blade. It was said to be a weapon of unimaginable power, a symbol of a civilization long gone. But no alien, no matter how strong or smart, had ever been able to lift it. Elias Grant, captain of the human expedition, studied the sword from the observation deck of his ship. Humans were few, fragile compared to the alien fleets, yet he felt something different. A strange connection. His crew, though nervous, trusted him. They had trained for this moment for years, preparing for dangers they could not even imagine. "They've been trying for weeks," said Mira, the human engineer, her voice quiet but tense. "None of the alien crews have even moved it an inch." Elias nodded. "They don't understand it yet," he said, his eyes fixed on the glowing sword. "This isn't about strength, Mira. There's something else here. Something they can't see." Mira frowned. "You mean it's like a test?" "Exactly," Elias said, "and I think it's waiting for someone who approaches it differently." On the planet, alien warriors lined up, ready to try once more. Each had already failed countless times, but pride and curiosity drove them forward. One by one, they grasped the sword's hilt. Their muscles bulged, their energy weapons hummed in anticipation, and their minds focused on lifting it with all their might. The sword, however, remained unmoved. A tall alien, covered in silver scales, growled in frustration. "This is impossible," he shouted. "We are the strongest beings in the galaxy, yet this weapon resists us." His companions murmured in agreement. Others tried clever tricks, gravitational tools, energy amplifiers, even telekinetic devices, but nothing worked. The sword remained calm, as if mocking their attempts. From above, Elias observed quietly. He noticed something strange. The sword seemed to respond to the energy around it. Every alien that tried to lift it pushed forward with force, aggression, or greed. The sword rejected all of them. But Elias had seen humans do things differently, approach problems with patience, understanding, and a sense of balance. Finally, Elias decided it was time. He stepped down to the surface, his boots pressing lightly into the dusty soil. The aliens turned toward him, their eyes wide with disbelief. Humans were not considered strong in this galaxy. To see one of their kind approach the sword with calm confidence was unusual. "You don't want to try, human," one alien warned. Its voice was sharp, echoing with authority. "None of us have succeeded. You will fail, just like the others." Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe I will," he said, "but I want to understand it first." He walked slowly toward the sword, taking in every detail. The inscriptions along its blade pulsed faintly with light like they were alive. The pedestal was carved with ancient symbols, telling a story that seemed to stretch back millions of years. Elias touched the stone carefully, feeling a subtle vibration run through his fingers. It was different from anything he had felt before. Not power, not strength, but presence. The sword was alive in a way, but it responded not to force but to thought and intention. Elias closed his eyes for a moment, sensing the energy flowing from the planet beneath him. The aliens watched, tense and confused. "What are you doing?" one of them hissed. "You're wasting your time." "I'm listening," Elias replied quietly. "I want to know what it wants." Minutes passed. The alien crews were growing impatient, grumbling among themselves. They could not understand how a human, so small, so fragile, could approach the sword with patience instead of raw strength. But Elias was not rushing. He studied the inscriptions, memorizing their patterns, and tried to feel the rhythm of the sword's energy. A strange sensation ran through him. It was as if the sword recognized him, not as an enemy, not as a challenger, but as someone who might understand it. He extended his hand slowly, letting his fingers hover over the hilt. The sword glowed brighter, faint sparks of light dancing across its surface. The pedestal trembled slightly. The aliens gasped, unable to comprehend what was happening. You feel it?" one alien whispered, stepping back in awe. "Yes," Elias said. "It's not about strength. It's about connection, understanding, harmony." He placed his hand on the hilt. It was warm, but not with heat. Warmth of life, energy, and intelligence. The sword vibrated softly as if responding to his touch. The alien crews were frozen, staring in disbelief. Elias lifted his other hand and closed his eyes, focusing completely. He felt the planet beneath him, the history of the sword, and the energy of the universe flowing around him. It was a moment of calm in a galaxy driven by conflict and competition, and for the first time in centuries, the sword reacted. It trembled, humming faintly, as if testing him. The aliens took a step back, eyes wide, jaws dropped. They had never seen this. Every attempt they had made ended in failure, and now a human, a species they had always underestimated, was beginning to unlock the secret. Elias opened his eyes slowly. He did not pull. He did not force. He waited, feeling the sword respond to his understanding, not his strength. The inscriptions pulsed in time with his heartbeat, glowing brighter and brighter with each passing moment. The aliens whispered among themselves, their pride wounded. How could this be? How could a human, so weak compared to them, even approach the sword in a way they could not? They watched with awe and fear. Elias withdrew his hand slightly, sensing the sword's energy fading as if it was still testing him. He realized this was only the first step. Lifting it would require more than patience. It would require insight, courage, and understanding of the ancient ways that even the most advanced aliens had forgotten. He looked up at the alien crews. "You've been trying to lift this sword with force," he said. "But it's not about force. It's about harmony, balance, understanding." The aliens glared, unable to comprehend his words. But Elias did not need them to understand. He only needed to understand himself. For now, the sword remained in its pedestal, but something had changed. The energy that had rejected every alien now pulsed gently in response to him. It was the first sign that humanity, though small and fragile, might have what it takes to succeed where others had failed. Elias stepped back, feeling a sense of calm triumph. This was only the beginning. The planet had many secrets, and the sword was just one of them. But for the first time, a human had touched the relic, and the universe was watching. As the alien fleets retreated to their ships, muttering and grumbling, Elias turned to his crew. "We're going to learn everything about this place," he said, "step by step. And one day, we'll understand the sword completely." Mira smiled nervously. "Do you really think we can do it?" Elias looked at the glowing blade in the distance. "We have to. Not because we're the strongest, but because we're human. And sometimes, that's enough." And so, on the red soil of Zithra, under the gaze of the universe, humanity took its first quiet step toward a challenge that no alien could conquer. The red dust of Zithera's plains stirred under the footsteps of the human crew as they cautiously advanced toward the pedestal. Captain Elias Grant led the way, his eyes fixed on the ancient sword that had defeated the mightiest aliens in the galaxy. Its faint blue glow pulsed like a heartbeat, responding subtly to the energy around it. Elias could feel it, even now, testing those who approached, measuring their intentions rather than their strength. Around him the alien fleets lingered. Some stayed on the ground, watching from a distance. Others hovered in their ships, unable to comprehend what a single human was attempting. Among them were beings with 4 arms, massive frames, and glowing eyes. They had tried everything: force, technology, telekinesis, and failed. Now, they observed Elias silently, curiosity mixing with disbelief. "We shouldn't be here," hissed one of the aliens, a towering figure covered in bronze scales. "None of us have succeeded. How can this human think they can?" Elias did not respond. Words were not needed. He had learned that rushing or arguing with these aliens would achieve nothing. Instead, he approached the sword with calm steps, taking in every detail of the stone pedestal and the inscriptions that wrapped around the hilt like a code. Mira, the human engineer, walked beside him, her face full of both excitement and nervous tension. "Captain, are you sure this is safe?" she asked. "We've never encountered anything like this." Elias smiled faintly. "Nothing worth achieving is easy, Mira. This sword isn't just a weapon, it's a test. And tests are meant to challenge us, not destroy us." The inscriptions on the sword's blade seemed to shimmer under the twin suns of Zithera. Elias crouched slightly, tracing the carvings with his gloved hand. They were not ordinary markings. They moved subtly, shifting as if alive. Some shapes resembled creatures long extinct. Others seemed to form patterns of energy and light. He could feel the sword resonating with his thoughts, but it required more than observation. It required understanding. "You're wasting your time," one alien muttered. "It will not move. None of us could lift it, and neither will you." Elias glanced at the creature, a hint of amusement in his eyes. "Maybe you don't understand it," he said. "You've been trying to lift it with your muscles, your tools, your power. But the sword is not asking for strength. It's asking for something else, something you cannot see." The aliens bristled at his words, their pride stung by the implication that they lacked insight. Some whispered among themselves, while others flexed their limbs, ready to intervene if the human tried something foolish. But Elias ignored them. He had learned early in his explorations that humans often succeeded where others failed by looking beyond brute force. Elias spent hours studying the sword, kneeling beside the pedestal and observing the reactions of the alien crowds. He realized the sword responded not to the push or pull of muscles, but to intent, focus, and harmony. Every alien that had failed approached it aggressively, seeking to dominate the weapon. Elias, on the other hand, felt the energy of the sword, aligning himself with its rhythm. Mira watched him, unable to hide her astonishment. "Captain, it's glowing brighter. Is it reacting to you?" Elias nodded slowly. "It's testing me," he said. "It can feel our minds and our hearts. The sword chooses not the strongest, but the one who understands it." Hours passed, and Elias maintained his focus. He sat cross-legged in front of the pedestal, eyes closed, breathing deeply. Around him, the aliens grew restless. Some argued, others laughed nervously, and a few even mocked him. "The human thinks it will obey him," one hissed. Pathetic. But Elias did not react to their jeers. Instead, he began to synchronize his breathing with the pulsing glow of the sword. He felt its energy flow into the ground, through the pedestal, and into him. The sensation was gentle but powerful, like a river of calm strength. For the first time, he understood that the sword was alive in a way, alive to thought, to focus, and to character. "You're doing it wrong," a large alien finally shouted, stepping forward. "Watch, human, this is how you lift it." The alien grasped the hilt with all four arms and strained every muscle in its body. The sword resisted, glowing faintly in irritation. Sparks danced along its blade, but it did not move. The alien growled in frustration, its pride wounded, and released the hilt with a frustrated roar. Elias opened his eyes and observed. Every alien attempt had been an attack on the sword, a demand rather than a request. But the sword had not resisted him. It had acknowledged his presence. That small difference was the key. "You see, Mira," he whispered, "it's not about fighting it. It's about listening." Mira nodded, wide-eyed. "Listening? To a sword?" she asked incredulously. "Yes," Elias said. "It's alive in its own way. It reacts to the mind and the heart, not the body. That's why none of them could lift it. They don't understand that." The twin suns of Zithera began to set, casting long shadows across the dusty plains. The alien crowds started to grow uneasy as night approached. Many had failed repeatedly and were beginning to question the value of their mission. Elias, however, remained focused. He continued to study the inscriptions, noticing patterns that mirrored the flow of energy he felt within the sword. Slowly, he began to mimic the rhythm, aligning his heartbeat and thoughts with its pulse. A small vibration ran through the pedestal. It was faint but unmistakable. The sword trembled slightly, responding to Elias's intent. He smiled softly, realizing he was making progress. The aliens gasped, stepping back in shock. None had seen the sword move, even a fraction, in response to anyone. "Impossible," one alien muttered. It reacts to the human." "Yes," Elias whispered to himself. "It does." He closed his eyes again, feeling the sword's energy flow through him. He sensed its history, the civilizations that had once worshipped it, the warriors who had wielded it, and the lessons it had learned over centuries. It was more than a weapon. It was a guardian, a keeper of knowledge, and a test of character. As he meditated, the alien crowds grew more restless. Some tried to interfere, but Elias remained calm. He understood that any forceful action would disrupt the connection. He needed patience, understanding, and trust in himself. The sword was not an enemy. It was a teacher. Hours turned into the night. The alien warriors, unable to comprehend his method, started arguing and leaving in frustration. They could not grasp that strength alone would not move the blade. But Elias stayed, focused and patient, feeling a subtle harmony building between himself and the sword. Mira finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "Captain, it's glowing so brightly now. Do you think it's ready?" Elias opened his eyes slowly. The sword's glow had intensified, the inscriptions pulsing like a heartbeat in sync with his own. He felt a connection stronger than anything he had experienced before. "Not yet," he said. "But we are close. I can feel it. This is just the beginning of the test." He stood, stretching his arms and legs, and looked at the alien crowds that had gathered at a safe distance. Many were shocked, others confused, and a few seemed afraid. They realized that humanity, weak by their standards, was demonstrating a quality they did not possess: calm focus, understanding, and patience. Elias turned to Mira and his crew. "Tomorrow we continue," he said. "We need to study the sword more, understand its rhythm, its history. Only then can we hope to lift it. And when we do, it will not be because we are the strongest, but because we are the most human." The twin moons rose over Zithera, casting silvery light across the red plains. The sword pulsed gently, acknowledging Elias's presence. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. For the first time, a human had begun to understand the ancient sword, and the galaxy had taken notice. As the night deepened, the alien fleets retreated, muttering and arguing among themselves. They had failed once again, but something had changed. The humans were no longer insignificant. They had a quality the aliens could not measure, a combination of patience, insight, and harmony with the universe. Elias gazed at the sword one last time before retreating to his camp. He knew the challenge ahead would not be easy. The sword would not reveal its secrets quickly. But he was confident that humanity, with its unique approach to problem-solving, could succeed where others had failed. And so, under the glowing moons of Zithera, the first trials of the ancient sword ended, not with brute force, but with quiet understanding. Humanity had begun its journey, and the universe was watching, waiting for what would come next.